Good morning, and welcome to Emerson Unitarian Universalist Congregation. My name is Jeffrey Jacoby, and I am today's worship assistant. And it is so good to be together with you here in person and online. Hello, everybody that's online. Glad you're here, too. We come together here with our joys and sorrows, whether we need to rest and retreat, or maybe we're ready to take action. Whether you are a newcomer or a longtime member or a friend, all are welcomed here. As Unitarian Universalists, we believe that people are born with worthiness, beauty, and dignity. So, of course, trans and cis people and all the gender constellations, queer and straight people, people of all skin colors and countries of origin, disabled and neurodivergent people, people who feel the real embodied risk associated with being their most authentic selves in our current context, we believe that we are inextricably connected with each other. We work to build a beloved community where all people and creatures and the earth can thrive. These are the promises we make to each other. If you are here in person, we invite you to join us for social time following the service for light refreshments. Our main fellowship hall is on this floor, directly behind the sanctuary. You can reach it through the hallway down here. And then we also have our family-friendly fellowship hall with snacks and activities for all ages, and that's upstairs in room 214, and that's accessible by the back stairs or the elevator. The elevator is right over here out in the hallway, and the back stairs are down the end of this hall. It's the quickest way to get there. It is such a joy to be together in community. And now, we will light our chalice as our symbol of Unitarian Universalism and our commitment to be a beacon of love in the world. Star Ashburn has gracefully agreed to be our chalice lighter today. Thank you, Star. Yes, hand for Star, yay. We light our chalice in the midst of the storm to be shelter for one another. We light our chalice in a time of uncertainty to offer the assurance of compassion. We light our chalice to renew community and to give ourselves once more to the vision of justice, freedom, and human decency. We light our chalice and we enter into worship together. And now, in the spirit of love and the beloved community, let's share a congregational affirmation. We need not think alike to love alike. And now let's greet our neighbor and welcome each other to this new day. For those in the sanctuary, please feel free to turn to your neighbors and offer greetings. And for those online, please use the chat to introduce yourself. Go.
Hello, I'm Reverend Christina Branum-Martin. It is so good to be with you this morning, and it is such an honor to be the minister here at Emerson. I met those who I haven't seen in a while this morning, those who I see week after week, and some new folks, and I am so glad to look in your eyes and see you here with us today. The opening words are, "We gather in the midst of the storm to be shelter to one another. We gather in a time of uncertainty to offer the assurance of compassion. We gather in grief to renew community, to give ourselves once more to the vision of justice and freedom and human decency. Let us enter into worship together. We're going to sing a beautiful, simple hymn this morning. It is number 391 in the gray hymnal if you want the music. It is voiced still and small, and the words will be projected for you. Please rise in body or spirit, and let's sing together.
And we'll sing this twice through. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing. Voice still and small, deep inside all, I hear you call, singing. In dark and rain, sorrow and pain, still you remain, singing. Calming my fears, quenching my tears, through all the years, singing.
We pause each week to share our joys and our sorrows, and you're invited to enter these into this book as you enter the sanctuary, or to email them to pastoralcare@emersonuu.org. And Star, would you join us again with the stones? Thank you so much. We place 3 stones each week, and we began with one in honor of the Cherokee and the Muskogee nations on whose land we reside on. Another is in memory for those who were wrongly enslaved and labored on this land. And another is for all those hurting in current conflicts and wars across this globe, especially for the children in those places. We have a couple of things to share, and I'll start with a sorrow. Nikki Fambro shares that my father passed away this morning. Please hold our family in your hearts. Jeffrey Jacoby shares that on Wednesday, January 7th, my father turned 95. Happy birthday, Dad. Star, would you put a really big one in for somebody named Star Ashburn? I start my first day of college on Tuesday, Star writes. And this one comes from 3 people, Maxwell, Izzy, and Heather. And somebody's birthday named Cody is sitting with us. Happy birthday, Cody. I'd like to add one for the family and children and wife of the family in Minnesota who lost their dear family member this past week. I can't imagine what they're going through. Would you join me in the Buddhist prayer of loving kindness? May we all be filled with loving kindness. May we all be free from harm and suffering. May we all be well in body, heart, and mind. May we all be at peace. Blessed be.
I just wanted to mention, in case anybody noticed that the sign is down again, it was not vandalized. That was due to the weather. It just needs to be kind of shored up a little bit. We need to do a little bit better with getting it propped up, but we just wanted to mention, in case anybody was afraid we'd been vandalized again. We were not. It was just all the rain. Yay, yes, exactly. Each week at Emerson, we receive an offering that is both practical and meaningful. Half of our offering supports our congregation, our staff, our building, religious education, and the many ministries that sustain our life together. The other half of the offering is a spiritual practice. As we pass the basket, we practice gratitude and generosity, reminding ourselves that giving is part of our shared spiritual life. By sharing half of our offering with community partners beyond our walls, we extend our values of love and justice into a wider world. This month, we are partnering with Georgia Interfaith Power and Light, GIPL for short. GIPL is an interfaith environmental organization that helps communities of faith live out their values by caring for the earth. For over 20 years, GIPL has inspired congregations to respond to climate change, environmental injustice, and the growing strain on our planet. GIPL works with over 600 congregations and 100 green teams by supporting practical, on-the-ground climate solutions and as well as advocating for environmentally just policies. Emerson has been proudly connected with GIPL for over a decade. Their guidance has helped us at Emerson deepen the link between our spiritual values and environmental action. We have greatly reduced our energy use, substantially improved our water conservation, and we have fully eliminated using natural gas from our building. Yeah, that is a woo. That's definitely worthy of a woo. We are grateful for GIPL's partnership and proudly support their work with faith communities across Georgia. As we receive today's offering, we invite you to support GIPL's vital work, helping faith communities turn love for Earth into meaningful, lasting action for our planet. For those in the sanctuary, as the basket is passed, please feel free to offer a donation or see in your order of service other ways to give. For those online, go to emersonuu.org. Select the Giving tab to donate. And for the children among us, there are lollipops in the basket too. The morning offering will now be given and received with much gratitude.
Good morning. It feels loud. So, can I have the young and the young at heart come join me up here for our story for all ages? Look at all these people this morning. It's a beautiful, cold morning, isn't it? Yes, and we have a special storyteller today. It's Miss Judy.
Hi. Has anybody in this group ever spoken in front of a class or in front of a group before? Do you like that? Has anybody not wanted to do that when they were supposed to? That's the dilemma of Stacy in this book called Stacy Speaks Up. It's written by Stacey Abrams, who ran for governor in our state. Some of you might recognize her name. And it's illustrated by Kit Thomas. Stacy Speaks Up. Mr. Dexter's class excitedly lined up. The whole school had voted on the special lunch they'd get at the end of each week. There was a tie between pizza and tacos, and the entire second grade voted for French fries. So Principal Howard made a compromise with Taco Pizza Friday. This was Stacy's favorite part of the week, after Adventure Day in the library. She always sat with her best friend, Julie. In the cafeteria, Stacy laughed at Julie's knock-knock joke. Zivko tried to balance his tray on his head. Standing in line to pay, Stacy heard a boy in front of her whisper, I don't have any lunch money today. I'm sorry, but the rules are the rules, the cashier explained. I have to take the tray back. Frozen, Stacy watched as the boy walked away without any food. Suddenly, she wasn't hungry anymore. At the lunch table, her friends giggled and gossiped. You're not listening, Julie complained. Are you okay? Not really, Stacy replied. Zivko shook his head. But Taco Pizza Friday is the best. Quietly, Stacy told them what happened in the lunch line. I should have offered him some of my food. He probably would have been embarrassed, said Jake. Stacy felt herself get hot and jittery. I still should have done something, Jenny shrugged. What could you do? We're just kids. We don't make the rules. Stacy thought about it. But what if the rules are very, very wrong? Julie suggested, maybe we can tell a teacher. Stacy looked around the cafeteria. For the first time, she noticed several kids with empty places where their trays should be. Stacy said, I know who we can talk to. After the final bell, she and her friends went to the library. Stacy told Mr. McCormick about all the kids who couldn't get lunch. If families can't afford it, kids may receive a free lunch. Sadly, not everyone qualifies, he explained. The rules can be very complicated. Lunch shouldn't be, Stacy argued. What can we do? Julie said, my parents told me they went to protests to stop war. Every summer, my older sister drags me from house to ask people to save the planet, Jenny told them. Mr. McCormick listened to their ideas. In 1 week, the school board will meet right here during our assembly. These are the adults who make the decisions. Will you talk to them for us? He shook his head. I could, but I don't think my voice is the one they need to hear. If you want to change the rules, you've got to find the words, Stacy, not me. Stacy thought about what Mr. McCormick said. Stacy really didn't like the idea of public speaking. How would she convince everyone? Why would they listen to her? She worried all night. Then in the morning, she bolted up and ran downstairs. Her parents were sitting on the couch. You're awake early, her father said. I figured it out. Maybe I don't have to say anything. Why not? Remember how you and Mom met in college? The petition drive. That afternoon, Stacy met with her friends and shared her ideas. They got busy gathering signatures for the petition. On the day of the assembly, Stacy entered the auditorium where the school board was about to arrive. Principal Howard? Yes, Stacy, is this about your petition? I have more than 500 signatures. Can you tell the school board? It was a great idea to get signatures, but I think they need to hear from a student, don't you? She thought about it all during the assembly. Maybe names on a page aren't enough. Her stomach wobbled with nervousness, but Stacy took a deep breath and raised her hand. Yes, asked Principal Howard. I'd like to say something. Come on up. Stacy motioned to her friends, who each carried a pile of petitions, to the stage. She leaned into the microphone. Lunch is the best. It's one time that kids can make their own decisions, especially on Taco Pizza Friday. Everyone laughed. Stacy continued, but not every student can afford to buy food at school or bring it from home. As she spoke, her voice got stronger. This week, kids from around the school worked together. We asked parents and other adults to sign a petition. Stacy thought about what Mr. McCormick told them about change. She had to find the right words. You have the power, she pointed to the school board members. We need you to do something today. Principal Howard said, Stacy, that's not how the system works. Jake shouted, why not? Jenny and Julie joined him. Why not? They demanded. More students started chanting, why not? Why not? Why not? Finally, a boy made his way to where Stacy stood. She passed him the microphone. My name is Grayson Monticelli, he began shyly. I'm one of the kids who doesn't always have enough money to eat lunch. He stared at the floor. Stacy reached out and squeezed his hand. He squeezed back and continued, we deserve to learn without being hungry. All of the kids in the auditorium cheered. The principal walked back on stage. Thank you both for bringing this matter to our attention. So you'll change the rules? Stacy asked. One of the school board members answered, we'll discuss it. We have to follow a process. It takes time. For the next month, Stacy and her friends went to see the principal every Taco Pizza Friday with a list of how many kids didn't get to eat that week, and she and her friends told children at other schools about what they were doing. Then one morning, the principal made an announcement. Because of the great efforts of our students, starting today, every child will be entitled to lunch, whether they can pay or not. At our school, no child will go hungry. Yay. For the rest of the day, Stacy and her friends celebrated their victory. Mr. McCormick had been right. Using her voice had helped Grayson use his, and words on a page, combined with words spoken out loud, made a difference. Imagine what else all their voices could change together.
What a great story. All right, shall we sing our song of dedication? For those who are new, the words are printed on the back of your program.
Well, the message of this week's service, Rest as Resistance, was chosen months ago. Not knowing what would transpire this past week in Minneapolis and the impact it would have, not just locally in that city, not just in that state, but in terms of a reaction across the country. Its impact has been to remind us that we need to continue fighting, and like the book, to speak up, to hit the streets, to do what we need to do to maintain the vestiges of democracy and justice and good for all in this country. On Wednesday this past week, Renee Nicole Good, a 37-year-old mother, wife, and legal observer of the actions of the Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE, was killed at point-blank range. This was an aggressive act of state-sanctioned violence. This was not an isolated incident. It was not the first killing by ICE. Many Black and brown bodies over this past year have also succumbed to their loss of life. However, this one caught the attention, maybe for issues of race, as some people have discussed. Also, it was filmed by so many different people and all over the internet. This non-isolated incident is a result of policies that criminalize immigration, that enforces borders through fear, surveillance, and force, rather than seeing the humanity in all people. Her life was stolen, and now her story and her name is being maligned by those in power to cover up the crime. More on this next week. After what happened this past week, I've been kind of stopped in my tracks. Sometimes I'm aware that I am a voice of a congregation where I'm supposed to bring hope every week. I haven't been feeling really hopeful the last few days, and I felt a little stunned. In response, I realized that I needed to follow that old adage that if you think you don't have time to pray or meditate, do it twice as long. So I've been turning to reflection and prayer. I've been taking a deep breath, and then another. In this period of rest for me, this time to catch my breath, has allowed me to gather myself and get ready for what I am called to do next. I know I'm not the only one who's angry or heartbroken to watch our elected leaders wield power with such blatant racism and unapologetic sexism and simply unhinged narcissism. I saw a thumbs up. We all know that these actions chip away at the values that we share not only as Unitarian Universalists, but also simply the ideals of our Constitution. Their cries to comply with orders, drown out reason, compassion, and sense. For those of us in the room who are exhausted, frightened, and frustrated, we must name what is happening. And by doing so, we are refusing to be numb or silent to what we are witnessing. And when we come together here in this room, surrounded by these walls that embrace us here, we come together in community, we come together in shared worship, and we hold on to each one another so that we can gather in strength and find the courage for what is next. When I first realized that I needed to combine rest as resistance with this circumstance, what came next was, this is a marathon and not a sprint. We, each of us, need to remember to take a breath, to rest and find respite and dig deep down inside for a time such as this. You may ask, what is the use of worship in such a time of desperation? How can we rest at such a moment? How do we breathe together and dream together and hope together when we are in shock and our children are frightened? These are good questions. We worship and we gather together so that we can gain resilience and be reassured, sitting side by side with others, that we are never alone. Together we breathe, we dream, we hope, we drown out the collective fears by lifting up the truth, no matter who demands it to be silenced. We worship and we gather together to hold love at the center. We find reassurance in one another, and ultimately we find the strength for a means of resilience. So let us sit for just a moment. Take a breath. We need it after this last week. In a moment of meditation, Bruce and Jeffrey and I are going to lead you in a song. It is called Loosen, Loosen, and the words are on the front of your order of service. We're going to sing it through. And when you feel compelled, if you feel compelled, join us. We're going to sing it through 2 times, and then we're going to combine them because the harmony is beautiful. It's a beautiful song.
Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Loosen, loosen, baby. You don't have to carry the weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go. Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? Holy breath and holy name, will you ease this pain? The weight of the world in your muscles and bones. Let go, let go, let go.
So this season of winter, even though my daffodils don't know it, have you seen yours shooting up? I actually saw forsythia blooming yesterday in my neighborhood. But winter comes tonight, and we will get our coats out again, and we'll cuddle up in our blankets, and we will feel that sense of the darkness that winter brings. And winter invites us to rest. Winter invites us to find ways to recover and to reflect before the ushering of that new season of spring that will come. Author Catherine May wrote about the power of this time in a book called Wintering, The Power of Rest in Difficult Times. May employs wintering as a verb, and she celebrates that we can care for and repair ourselves when life knocks us down. She says, sometimes you just slip through the cracks. Unforeseen circumstances like an abrupt illness or the death of a loved one, a breakup, or the loss of a job. These things can derail a life emotionally, physically, financially. And these periods of dislocation can be lonely and unexpected, and we all have them at different times. Winter is a time when the fields are fallow, and our life, too, has seasons of sadness and loneliness and change. And this season of winter, not so much felt down here in the South, but we have it too. We are encouraged to understand that life is cyclical and not linear. May writes that plants and animals don't fight the winter, that they don't pretend it's not happening and attempt to carry on living the same lives they live in a summer. They prepare. They adapt. They perform extraordinary acts of metamorphosis to get them through. And winter is an invitation to them, and they take it, to withdraw from the world some and make do of those scant resources. They carry out some of them with brutal efficiency and vanish from sight, or like the squirrels in my yard, dig up everything in order to find what they hid in the prior season. And that's where transformation occurs. Winter is not the death of the life cycle. It is the crucible, she says. So this invitation to winter is to be invited to rest and to heal. This is the invitation of winter. And Jeffrey has an interesting reflection on what rest and healing means for us.
So yes, speaking of rest, have you ever wondered why your dog sleeps so much? Did you ever think they actually needed all those naps they take, or were they just being lazy? As it turns out, they are not being lazy. Vital processes start taking place during those dog naps, processes that have a huge impact on their overall well-being. There's cell growth and repair. Sleep promotes tissue growth and muscle restoration, which is essential for active dogs. There's cognition function. Sleep affects memory and learning, just as kids retain information better after a good night's sleep. Dogs also need their rest to process what they've learned and experienced. There's also mood regulation. A well-rested dog is generally a happier dog. Lack of sleep can lead to behavioral issues, including irritability and increased anxiety. If your dog is prone to anxiety like ours is sometimes, you know what, you want to do anything you can to avoid that. So the answer is no, they're not lazy. It may be instinctual to them, but their rest patterns are actually critical to their good health. There are enormous benefits that good sleep patterns can provide for pets, and these often mirror some aspects of human needs. So, would people benefit from choosing the pattern that dogs have between activity and rest? And the answer is definitely yes. This pattern can lead to improved physical health, mental well-being, and overall quality of life. By incorporating rest periods into daily routines, individuals can experience many of the same benefits that their pets get. It may seem impossible to build time into our incredibly busy schedules, But if you ever feel overwhelmed by your daily routine or feel tired in the afternoon, maybe take a cue from our canine companions. They take naps throughout the day. Even 5 minutes of having your eyes closed in a quiet place, or even better, a quick 20-minute nap during the day for a human can make a world of difference. Be kind to yourself and find that balance between rest and activity that dogs just do naturally. The Mayo Clinic has proved that short naps during the day increase alertness, improve mood, enhance memory, give better performance with problem solving and logical reasoning, and help with the devastating effects of sleep deprivation. So, the next time you see your dog taking a nap, don't think, "Oh, what a lazy dog." Try thinking, "Hey, good idea. Maybe I'll join you."
From your reflection, Jeffrey, I'm reminded of the words of a colleague, Reverend Lynn Cox, who reflects that the turning of the season is an opportunity to remind us that as Universalists, we know human worth is unconditional, and our place in the world does not depend solely on the measure of our usefulness, our productivity, our lack of taking a break. Instead, we are known deep in our bones to believe that we belong here. We simply belong by being alive and by being present. When each of us can make time and space to acknowledge ourselves as human beings rather than human doings, it is easier for us to practice acceptance of one another. And you know that old adage of with the dog sleeping, it reminded me of being a parent of a baby. You remember that saying, when the baby sleeps, you sleep? So maybe when I actually feel sleepy, I should take a nap. Thank you for the reminder. If you, too, can give yourself permission to not be doing all the time, you might actually feel your need for rest. And to know that we can only exercise resilience when we dig deep down and listen to what our bodies tell us. Resilience asks us to figure out how to bounce back, how to ally with the forces that create and uphold life itself. And given the resources and the gifts and the talents that are available to us, we can find resilience if we focus on the present moment and apply creativity and teamwork together and do what is called for in the best of that time. So give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself permission to come and be with each other when you need someone to lean on. Come here to be reminded that you are not alone. Come and catch your breath and declare with open eyes and find a way back to your open heart that you'll find what you need deep down to answer the call to action when it comes. And when that call to action is to decry what is happening around you, especially like in the last week, we can find resilience by being together. Unitarian Universalist Reverend Ashley Horan, who is one of our denominational leaders, who works with our campaign called Side with Love, declared this week, "We, as Unitarian Universalists, are called, especially now, to work to build a world where the worth and dignity of all are held as sacred and unshakable truths. We are called by love to tell the truth about the violence perpetrated on our neighbors and all across our country. We are called to accompany those most impacted and to keep organizing towards fulfilling the promise of our communities and institutions to make safety, belonging, and freedom real for all. Well, you and I both know that's a big call. And there are forces pushing back against that all around us. And if we are going to be up for this task, we're going to need to take a breath. We're going to need to rest up. And as Jeffrey reminded us, we can't do this if we don't take breaks, because we'll burn out. Perhaps the most radical thing we can do is to remember to gather together and to not surrender our capacity to love amidst despair. Together we are reminded by our companionship, by our love for each other and our love for this world and the love for this community, that we are not alone. We must remember that our liberation is mutual. And this is where resistance truly begins, in the ordinary, daily choices that we make every day, every time, to keep showing up for ourselves, for each other, and for the world that is still possible. May it be so. Thank you. Go ahead.
All right, good morning, everybody. We're going to sing our final hymn, and we have something new for you. You know, we're doing new hymns once a month, and we've had some people say, hey, I'd love to see the music. So now we've answered the call. On the back of your order service, there is a QR code that you can scan with your phone and pull the sheet music up. So I'll give you a second to work that out. The words will also appear.
And remember that you can turn your phone sideways to see it bigger.
Yeah, if you turn it horizontally, you get more music, so you're not constantly doing this. If you are pulling up the QR code, just take note there's 2 verses. We're singing the second verse. This hymn is designed to kind of bookend the service, and we're going to do the closing part, which is Take This Fire. Has everybody got their QR code ready to go?
Please stand, and if you're willing and able.
I'm going to give you a little bit just so you remember how it goes.
Take the fire from this place, let it shine on every face, lift the light of truth and grace for all. Everyone plays a part, it's our mission, it's our art, as we joyously depart to serve. Peace, blessed peace, namaste and amen. Seeking the path once again. Live in love, grow in grace. In each heart is sacred space. With compassion we embrace the world.
I'd like to invite Star to come back up and help me with the extinguishing, please. Thank you very much. We extinguish this chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts and out into the world until we are together again. Thank you very much, Star. Michael Lukens has an announcement.
Good morning. I actually have a couple. So first, today, during second hour, parents, there is a parent reflection service up in room 209, which is the gray carpeted room next to the basketball court, where we will be able to talk about what's happened this week and how we can address violence in the community with our children. So come join me. Also, this Saturday, 7 o'clock, we have gingerbread houses for making. So please sign up. Come Saturday. Kids, that means there's candy to eat. So you want to be here. Also, a couple changes in dates. As you know, our youth have been going to different services as part of their curriculum of study. You will be going on Sunday, February 8th, to St. Michael's the Archangel Catholic Church, and we'll be meeting with the bishop there. So it'll be fun. And then on the 15th of March, we will be going to Ebenezer's Baptist Church. Does anyone recognize that? Martin Luther King Jr.'s church. And their youth group has invited us and are going to feed us lunch and are going to play games and have question and answer time. So great opportunity. And last one, parents. Parents, look at me. Please take your children's Christmas ornaments home. There is a box outside. I had to take them all off the tree yesterday. So please take them home, all right?
Thank you, Michael. And next week, Reverend Christina will be in the pulpit, and her message will examine our Unitarian Universalist theological understanding of evil in a message titled, Creating Peace When Evil Surrounds Us. And also, check the back of your order of service for second hour activities. We're going to have sermon reflections here, and then the ones Michael mentioned, and there's a few more. I believe the Buddhist group has something, and a couple more. So just look on the back of your order of service for second hour activities, and that will follow social time. And as our service ends, go now in peace, and take peace wherever you go.